Hi, welcome for another session of our video presentation. We are still on chapter 5, Cell Growth and Division. And the main idea that we are going to discuss here is that cells divide at different rates. Cells divide at different rates. So just like if we know really the function or the need for cell division, the needs of cell divisions determine how fast these cells will divide, because multicellular organisms, sorry, multicellular organisms use cell division for growth and repair, for growth and repair and replacement of old cells. So because multicellular organisms do this, you will find that the rate at which these cells divide will actually differ. So if you look at the diagram below here, this is figure 1.2, the cell lifespan, you will see here the cell type, here approximate lifespan. Skin cells will take only 2 weeks. Red blood cells will take 4 months. Liver cells will take 300 to 500 days. Intestinal linings will take 4 to 5 days, and intestinal muscles and other tissue may take up to 16 years for them to be replaced. So why is it that the rates are this different? So the rates are different because of many reasons. So if we take, for example, the rate will depend on the needs. The rate will depend on the needs. Okay, let's take an example of prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cells is similar but not identical to that of eukaryotic cells, the division. It's actually similar. If we look at them, they look similar, but they are not identical. Why? Because prokaryotes do not have membrane-bound organelles and cytoskeleton found in eukaryotes. Thus, prokaryotic cells typically divide much faster. Prokaryotic cells typically divide much faster. The reason why they divide much faster is because they lack membrane-bound organelles and they also lack cytoskeleton. So the rate at which your cells divide is linked to your body's needs. The rate at which your cells divide is related to your body's need. The rate at which cells divide is linked to the needs. Is linked to the needs. If they are really needed by the body, then they will be dividing faster. So in humans, for example, the S, G, and M stages together usually take about 12 hours. In humans, the S, G2, and M stages, which is mitosis, take about 12 hours. So the difference actually comes in the G1. So the length of the G1 stage differs most from cell type to cell type. The rate of cell division is greater in embryos. So the rate in cell division is greater in embryos, and you know the reason as to why is because the embryos are actually growing or developing, and children than in adults. So the rate of cell division is higher in embryos and children than in adults. So their cells cycle is short. The cell cycle in in embryos and children is shorter in comparison to that one of the adults. So the rate of cell division, on the other hand, varies within different tissues of the adult body. The rate of cell division, the rate of cell division varies within different tissues. Varies within different tissues. So if the tissues are needed faster, then they will divide faster. Of the adult body. We are talking here of the adult body. So in the adult body, the variation will be brought about by different tissues. Different tissues will have different rates. So if we take, for example, the lining of your digestive tract, it receives a lot of wear and tear. So as a result, the cells that line your stomach and the intestine are replaced every few weeks, as you can see here. They are replaced every few weeks or days. In contrast, cells that make up the rest of your intestine, like the smooth muscles, as you can see here, they will actually take a longer period. So many of the internal organs, such as lungs, kidney, and liver, divide only occasionally. many of your internal organs such as lungs, such as lungs, kidney, and many internal organs such as like I'm repeating myself here. We are saying internal organs such as lungs, kidneys, and many others divide only occasionally. Kidney and liver divide only occasionally, which means it takes time for them to actually divide. And they divide in response to injury or cell death. To injury or cell death. So if there is no injury, there is no cell death, then there will be no such thing as dividing. But with injuries, then there is a need for them actually to be replaced. So because it takes a long period for them to be processed, then it follows that it is even also more dangerous or to one's life if they are damaged. So unless one has some way like transplanting, then someone might have problem if he has a sudden injury or if his kidney or liver is damaged. So cells that divide only rarely are thought to enter a stage that some scientists call G0. So if you see that these cells are dividing only occasionally or rarely, then they enter what we call G0. So in G0, cells are unlikely to divide. In G0, cells are unlikely to divide. It means that cells here will actually not divide unless, although they may continue to carry out their normal function. Although they may continue to carry out their normal function. So they will be carrying out their normal function, but they will be unlikely to divide. They'll be unlikely to divide. That is why we say they have entered a G0 phase. So some cells, such as neurons, appear to stay permanently in G0 stage. Some cells, unique cells like neurons, some cells such as neurons appear to stay permanently. So they appear to stay permanently in the G0 stage. In the G0 stage. So you might think that they will not divide anymore because you will rarely see them dividing. However, some data suggests that neurons actually can divide, and this question continues to be actively researched. Other cells, such as lymphocytes, that is a type of a white blood cell, may remain in G0 for years. This is another thing to note. Other cells, like lymphocytes, may remain in G0 for years. It remains like this for years. Until it recognizes, until they recognize an invader. So just like you might see a country having an army, and you think because they are not fighting, they are useless. The same thing happens here. You might think that actually they have ceased to function, but only to be surprised that if they have invaders, they will have to defend themselves against any invaders. So once the invader binds to a lymphocyte receptor, the lymphocyte goes through a rapid cell division to help fight infection. To help fight infection. So in the next video, we will be looking at cell size and why cell size is limited. So we'll be looking at why cell size is limited. So keep tuning in and enjoy learning.